Hey there, folks, it's Zach. Got a couple of things to talk about this morning. Well, first thing is kind of fun. I've decided to set up a second channel. It's called ZachReadsYouAStory, and I'll try to post a link to it over there on the side. And aside from that, just to tell you a little bit about that channel, since I also do some fiction writing, including some really short fiction, decided to just start reading some of my stuff and also some stuff that I really enjoy from other authors on a separate site. And I wanted to make it a separate site because I know probably a lot of the people who are here and look at the stuff that I do here are interested in my more hardcore political commentary. I don't think it's necessarily going to be the same audience for my writing, which is admittedly kind of, depressing and sad a lot of the time. But anyway, I mean, if you kind of like my personal style, you like to see what kind of writing I do, you can go over and check out Zach Reads You a Story. But unfortunately, the other thing I'm going to talk about this morning is Iraq. And read something this morning on the Interpress service, and honestly, I just really did not think that there was anything that could really kind of actively get me angry about the Iraq war anymore. And, well, I guess I got surprised this morning. This is from Interpress service, Sunday, August 10th, today. And it's an analysis by a guy named Gareth Porter. He's a historical journalist. And he's doing some analysis about how complete the CIA program to actively misinform us was. Now, we know about kind of one side of the equation where they were presenting bad information that they had kind of cooked up or, refused to acknowledge that there was problems with some of the information that they had. But this is more dealing with the other side of the equation, which was them actively preventing us from getting contradictory information that would have kept us from going to war in the first place. According to Susskind's new book, The Way of the World, Iraqi Director of Intelligence Dahr Jamail al-Takriti had been passing on sensitive information to the UK's MI6 intelligence service for more than a year before the U.S. invasion. In early 2003, Susskind writes, Habish told MI6 official Michael Shipster in Jordan that Saddam had ended his nuclear program in 1991 and his biological weapons program in 1996. Habish explained to the British official that Saddam tried to maintain the impression that he did not have such weapons in order to impress Iran. Susskind writes that the head of MI6, Richard Dearlove, flew to Washington to present details of the Habish report to Tenet, who then briefed National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice. Soon after that, the CIA informed the British that the Bush administration was not interested in keeping the Habish channel open, according to Suskind's account. Well, I'm sure they weren't. But this article just goes on and on. Another high-level U.S. source in the last months of the Saddam regime was Saddam's foreign minister. Okay, so we have Director of Intelligence and now the Foreign Minister, Naji Sabri. Tyler Drumheller, the CIA's Chief of Clandestine Operations for Europe from 2001 until 2005, recounts in his book, On the Brink, that Sadri was passing on information to an official of a European government in early autumn 2002, indicating that hints of a WMD program were essentially a Potemkin village used to impress foreign enemies. Well, let's see. That's 2 people so far. Hey, how about some more? Yet another highly credible U.S. source on the WMD issue in September 2002 was Saad Tawfiq, an electrical engineer who had been identified by the CIA as a key figure in Saddam Hussein's clandestine nuclear weapons program. The story of the CIA's handling of his testimony is told in James Reason's State of War. In early September 2002, Tawfiq's sister, who lived in Cleveland, flew to Baghdad with a mission from the CIA to obtain details about Saddam's nuclear program from her brother. When she returned in mid-September, the CIA didn't like the report from her conversations with the source. Tawfiq told his sister that Saddam's nuclear program had been abandoned in 1991. Wow, there's a lot of consistency in these reports. I wonder why. When she told him the CIA wanted her to ask such questions as, how advanced is the centrifuge, and where are the weapons factories, Tawfiq was incredulous that the CIA didn't understand that there was no such program. All right, and the next one is where my jaw just kind of dropped to the floor, and my blood started boiling all over again. Tawfiq's was only one of 30 cases of former Iraqi WMD experts. Okay, this is not fucking people off the streets. These are WMD experts. Was available to the CIA during the work on the November 2002 National Intelligence Estimates, NIE. But the CIA's Directorate of Intelligence kept all of that evidence out of the NIE process. He says later on the disappearance of all that credible evidence reflected a deliberate decision by Tenet. Well, not just Tenet either, because we know that Tenet is just a toady. Tenet is just a water carrier for the administration. He had no real intelligence background before that. He's a political operative, like the people who head up every single thing in the executive branch. None of these people were chosen for being good at their jobs, and, as we can see, they're not. They were chosen because they're political hacks who will absolutely do whatever the administration tells them to do, regardless of whether it makes any freaking sense at all or not. So, I wanted to close because I read another article on the same site, which was co-authored by one of my heroes, Dahr Jamail. And it was an article talking about how in Iraqi high schools, students are failing like crazy. It's not surprising. They have no stability. They have no reasonable expectations of, even living from day to day. So when your whole focus is, whether or not your father's ever going to return, or, whether you're going to have water that day or not, it's not surprising that you can't focus on your studies. But there's this quotation from Sufyan Katham, a high school student who failed his exams. I decided to stop fooling myself by dreaming of going to college and becoming a lawyer. One has to face reality that Iraq is finished as a country. Well, there you go, America. Mission fucking accomplished.